What if I told you that some of the toughest boxers and fighters who once looked like real-life action figures completely lost their powerful physiques after leaving WWE or the boxing spotlight? From Shannon Briggs going from heavyweight champ to internet personality, to Trevor Berbick's tragic downfall after becoming a boxing legend, here are some boxers who clearly lost their physique after leaving WWE. 1. Butterbean. Who remembers Butterbean? His name is Eric Eck, and in the old days, he was the king of the four-rounders. He established his name in boxing due to his jaw-dropping knockouts and unusual looks. Big, bald, and muscle-bound like a wrecking ball. Butterbean wasn't a shredded-up boxer type, but the man possessed power. And when Butterbean came to WWE, fans went crazy. One of his most memorable WWE moments came at WrestleMania the 50th when he battled Bart Gunn in a legit boxing bout. It barely lasted 30 seconds because Butterbean knocked out Bart cold. That punch? Horrific. The crowd? Stunned. But once all the glamour and crazy bouts, Butterbean faded away gradually from the limelight. And with that, his intimidating build, once upon a time, also declined. He put on a tremendous amount of weight over the years and began fighting health concerns such as diabetes and mobility issues. Nowadays, he's all but unrecognizable. Though he's getting his health into shape now, yes, even walking again and attempting to get in fighting shape, he's not the powerhouse we know he was in the ring. Butterbean is undoubtedly one of the most glaring instances of a boxer losing his body after WWE. 2. Bart Gunn. Now let's discuss Bart Gunn. He was half of the tag team The Smoking Guns with Billy Gunn during the 90s. He wore the cowboy hat, the mustache, and a strong physique. Most fans viewed him as a tag team guy until WWE introduced the notorious Brawl for All tournament in 1998. This was WWE's version of a real boxing match mixed with wrestling. Everyone expected Bart Gunn to get wiped out early. But guess what? He shocked everyone and knocked out big names like Dr. Death Steve Williams. He won the whole thing. That should have been his big moment, right? Things, however, did not turn out as planned. WWE arranged a legitimate boxing match between Bart and Butterbean for WrestleMania 15th. That bout was all but over in under a minute. Butterbean knocked him out with one enormous shot. WWE then basically dropped him after that. He disappeared from the limelight and went on with his life. Years later, Bart Gunn, real name Mike Plotchek, was not the lean, athletic cowboy we witnessed in the ring. Similar to most athletes after retirement, he abandoned the strict training and diet. His body relaxed quite a bit, and most of the fans wouldn't know him today. He's still present and appears to be content, but he's certainly different. 3. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson requires no introduction. He was formerly the most feared man in boxing. Quick, strong, and fierce, Tyson controlled the ring during the late 80s and early 90s. He won the heavyweight title as the youngest champ in history at age 20. People were afraid of him because not only did he win bouts, but he also annihilated his opponents in the first round. But Tyson was more than just a boxing great. He had a sudden surprise in WWE back in 1998. His fans went crazy when he appeared on Monday Night Raw and went on to be a part of the main event of WrestleMania the 14th, featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels. Tyson's cameo boosted significant star power and enabled WWE to triumph in the ratings war over WCW. Tyson even entered the WWE Hall of Fame back in 2012. But life beyond boxing and WWE wasn't always easy on him. Throughout his years, Tyson battled weight gain, drug abuse, and run-ins with the law. His ripped physique went away, and for a while, he didn't appear to be the same dominant athlete fans knew. He gained a tremendous amount of weight and appeared lethargic in comparison to his former self. Fans wondered if the old Mike Tyson was lost forever. But the surprise is this: he came back. Tyson began training again in his 50s and stunned the world by getting back into shape. He had an exhibition bout in 2020 with Roy Jones Jr., and the fans were amazed at how good he looked. Nevertheless, for many years, Tyson's sudden physical transformation had everyone talking. He is still one of the most recognizable boxers who lost his body after departing WWE, although he struggled to regain it. 4. Big Show. Up next is Big Show, whose name is Paul White. He's a giant literally. Over 7 feet tall and over 400 pounds at his prime, Big Show was a beast inside the WWE ring. He started in 1999 and became one of the most recognizable figures in pro wrestling in no time. Whether he was a hero or a heel, fans couldn't look away from him. Big Show had a storied career with championship victories, tag team reigns, and comedic skits. But with each passing year, his physique started to alter. When he departed WWE and signed with AEW in 2021, there was an immediate change that was noticeable to the fans. He appeared a great deal thinner, but also far older and fatigued. The former behemoth didn't carry the same physical presence. Fair enough, Big Show has struggled with health problems for years, from hip surgeries to other physical ailments. It's only logical that his gargantuan body would catch up with him eventually. And, as is the case with many wrestlers who retire or curtail their schedule, he didn't maintain the same level of training. Now, Big Show is more of a backstage personality and commentator, and he appears content with his new job. But if you look at how he used to be at his best compared to today, it's a huge difference. He's another stark example of a wrestling and boxing-themed star who lost the iconic ring-ready body after departing WWE. 5. Butterbean, again for emphasis. We already discussed Butterbean previously, but he's an example worth bringing up again because his makeover is that severe. His birth name is Eric Esch, and although he wasn't a conventionally fit-looking boxer, he possessed knockout punching ability that sent opponents running. He was referred to as the King of the Four-Rounders and developed a huge reputation by winning many of his battles with vicious punches in the opening rounds. Fans adored him since he was fun, rugged, and didn't resemble your average athlete. Butterbean's WWE moment was at WrestleMania the 50th when he utterly trashed Bart Gunn in a genuine boxing match organized by WWE. The bout did not last longer than a minute, and Butterbean emerged with his arms up, and people cheered in awe. That one incident made him a WWE legend, even though he was never a full-time wrestler. But once all the attention went away, things changed. With no pressure to train or fight, Butterbean started gaining weight. Lots of weight. Years went by, and his health took a toll. He became morbidly overweight, had mobility issues, and even battled major conditions such as diabetes and depression. There was a point when he could hardly walk. 6. Tyson Fury. Tyson. Fury is boxing's biggest star, figuratively and literally. Nicknamed the Gypsy King, Fury is a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world who amazed the world with his return from the dead story. He possesses nutty charisma, ferocious punching power, and much to say on the microphone. Therefore, it was not surprising when WWE invited him to compete in a match in 2019. Fury made his debut in the WWE at Crown Jewel, where he battled Braun Strowman. And although it was a fun, flashy match, a lot of fans were paying attention to something immediately. Fury didn't seem to be in top shape. He's never exactly been the type of guy to have a shredded physique like some other sports stars. But in his WWE debut, he seemed even less in shape than normal. His endurance wasn't as good, and he appeared to be out of shape. Even outside of WWE, Tyson's body has experienced huge ups and downs. He's been very candid about struggling with depression, alcohol, and binge eating, particularly when he was away from boxing. At one point, he swelled up to more than 400 pounds and was almost unrecognizable. But like Butterbean, Fury made a monumental comeback. He lost the weight, got back into boxing, and became world champion once more. Nevertheless, in some off-seasons and media appearances, that out-of-shape appearance comes back and the fans are quick to notice. Although Tyson Fury remains active and successful, his irregular physique and that WWE stint when he appeared heavier than normal make him a prime example of a boxer who lost his optimal shape, particularly in the entertainment limelight. 7. David Haye. David Haye is also referred to as the Haymaker. He was a world champion cruiserweight and heavyweight boxer and one of the most stylish athletic fighters the sport has ever produced. He possessed the type of body that appeared as if it were chiseled out of rock, lean, muscular, and quick. His bouts were thrilling, and he possessed genuine star power. Even though Hay never became a part of WWE, there were some rumors regarding a crossover cameo due to his personality and charm. He certainly did look the part. But when he retired from boxing, notice something was observed by fans. The muscles began to soften. The defined six-pack and defined arms were history. Although Hay remains healthy, he doesn't possess the same shredded, superhero-esque body. It's a natural part of post-sport life, but surprising when you recall just how toned he once was. 8. Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield is best known for his epic battles in the ring, including his unforgettable fights with Mike Tyson. Remember the one where Tyson bit his ear? Yeah, that's Holyfield. He was known not just for his heart and skill, but for his incredibly built physique. In the 90s, Holyfield looked like a tank, muscles everywhere, always in top shape. Holyfield had a cameo in WWE years ago in 2007 when he boxed wrestler Matt Hardy. Even then, people were impressed with how fit he appeared for his age. But in recent times, time has finally caught up with him. Holyfield is now in his 60s, and he appears significantly more frail and thinner. His muscles are no longer there, and his movements are slower. When he attempted a comeback in boxing in 2021, people were concerned. It was evident he did not have the same body or energy level any longer. Nevertheless, Holyfield is still revered all over the globe. Physically, though, the transition is difficult to overlook. He's transitioned from being one of the strongest-looking competitors on the planet to one who's merely displaying the signs of aging. 9. Butterbean, once again. And naturally, we can't leave out Butterbean. Yes, we've already mentioned him, but there's a reason everyone continues to mention him. His physique change is that drastic. Butterbean was never the typical athlete's build, but at the height of his career, he was powerful and surprisingly quick for his size. He caused a huge sensation in WWE when he knocked out Bart Gunn at WrestleMania the 15th in an actual boxing match that lasted mere seconds. Then Butterbean dropped out of sight and life got tough. Without training or competition, his weight got way out of line. He got enormously overweight, was plagued with health issues, and could hardly move at one time. His change was dramatic. He went from being a good-natured, lovable roughneck to being nearly unrecognizable. Butterbean has begun training to get in shape again with the assistance of a trainer, but he is still one of the greatest representatives of a boxer who totally lost his shape after departing the WWE world. 10. King Mo, Muhammad Lawal, aka King Mo, began as an MMA fighter with a great record and killer attitude. He was famous for combining genuine skills with flashy flair. He made headlines in Bellator and Strikeforce with huge victories and show-stopping entrances. He then dipped his toes into pro wrestling, even joining TNA, Impact Wrestling, where he added a whole new level of swagger to the squared circle. But once his combat days slowed, fans saw that King Mo wasn't the same man. His athletic, muscular physique gradually wore off, and he began to appear softer and less conditioned. Of course, that's completely natural when one retires from a sport that requires constant training. Nevertheless, when fans compare King Mo today to his days of fighting, it's obvious he lost the physique that once crowned him a king in the cage and the ring. 11. Ken Shamrock. Way back in the late 90s, Ken Shamrock was ubiquitous. He was a UFC trailblazer, one of the first names associated with actual MMA fighting. Then he went to WWE and became a big star there as well, gaining the moniker, the world's most dangerous man. Shamrock possessed a crazy intensity and a ripped physique to go along with it. Whether he was applying ankle locks or slamming guys to the mat, he appeared to be a beast. But flash forward a few decades, and Shamrock is barely recognizable. In his later years, particularly after going back to smaller wrestling events and making occasional MMA appearances, he appeared much thinner and less muscular. The muscles that used to make him resemble an action figure were nowhere to be found. He still has that fighter's attitude, no question, but his physical presence has certainly altered. As with so many of the athletes, time was a wear and tear factor. and the bulked-up, ripped Shamrock is no more. 12. Tank Abbott. If you watched early MMA or wrestling in the 90s, you likely recall Tank Abbott. He was the first bad boy of the UFC, bearded, crazy, and always up for a street fighting brawl. He then transitioned into the WCW world of wrestling, where he maintained his tough guy persona. Although Tank never had a super chiseled physique, he was big, strong, and walked around like he didn't care about anyone. But once he stepped out of the combat world, Tank's physique declined rapidly. He put on a lot of weight, and that Toughman appearance all too soon became a more rounded, unhealthy one. People who saw him years down the line were amazed at how different he looked. He didn't just lose muscle mass, he looked like an entirely different person in the flesh. He's that kind of guy who really let himself go once the limelight faded, and it was evident. 13. Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt, alias the Super Samoan, was perhaps the scariest heavyweights in MMA. He had crushing hands, could knock someone out with one single punch, and he never backed down from anybody. Although he wasn't that lean, bodybuilder type of guy, Hunt was heavy, sturdy, and surprisingly fast for a man of his stature. People adored his humble nature and warrior mentality. There was even a rumor at one time that Mark Hunt was going to make the jump to WWE. He certainly had the charisma and the toughness to be right at home. But that never actually occurred, and instead, Hunt carried on with his MMA career until he officially retired from fighting in 2018. Following retirement, folks could see a huge transformation in Hunt's physique. He put on more weight, and his powerful physique began to appear out of shape. Without the rigorous training, strict diet, and fight preparation, his body naturally declined. Today, Mark Hunt is still a fight legend, but physically, he appears much softer than the bruiser fans remember. He's a classic example of how even the toughest men lose their edge when they move away from the grind. 14. Tommy Morrison. Tommy Morrison experienced one of the most sensational ascents and declines of a boxing career. In the early 1990s, Morrison was a burgeoning heavyweight celebrity. He was famous for his hard-hitting fists, good looks, and body that seemed chiseled for the movies. And by the way, he actually appeared in Rocky V playing the part of Tommy Gunn, the brash young boxer tutored by Rocky Balboa. His on-screen appearance further boosted his celebrity status. Inside the ring, Morrison was crowned WBO heavyweight champion and had a sound career. He had a lean body, well-built arms, and a quintessential boxer's build that supporters envied. He appeared like the whole package: talent, flair, and power. But life took a bad turn in the mid-1990s when Morrison tested positive for HIV. It came as a shock to the boxing community, and his career was put on hold instantly. He fought the diagnosis for years and even attempted comebacks. But his health kept getting worse, and his body underwent a huge transformation. During his last years, Tommy resembled hardly anyone. The muscular, Hollywood handsome body was lost. He was much thinner, weaker, and looked much older than his years. His bright, cheerful smile was now tired and worn. Unfortunately, Morrison died in 2013 at the age of only 44 from illness complications. It was sad to watch someone who had so much potential disappear like that. 15. Anthony Ogogo. Anthony Ogogo was a true success story in British boxing. He established himself as an Olympic bronze medalist at the 2012 London Olympics, where he proved to the world that he was quick, talented, and possessed the kind of physique most athletes spend years trying to attain. He had powerful arms, six-pack abs, and moved like a flash of lightning in the ring. But Ogogo did not stop short of boxing. He took an enormous leap of faith into pro wrestling and was signed with AEW, All Elite Wrestling. With his great looks, personality, and athletic ability, he appeared to be the whole package. In AEW, he was heavily promoted as a fresh heel, bad guy, even feuding against top names Cody Rhodes. He acted like a star and wore the part too, trim, ripped, and confident as could be. But his wrestling career was not as long as the fans had wished. He suffered some serious injuries, including eye problems, which made it risky to compete. He eventually disappeared from AEW's limelight, and with that, his body also started to transform. Without the rigorous training and performance schedule, Ogogo's previously sharp physique softened significantly. His abs weren't as chiseled, and he began to resemble more of a regular guy than a first-class athlete. It wasn't a radical change, but certainly enough so that longtime fans could notice. Even though he is no longer in the limelight like previously, Anthony Ogogo is still a significant personality who attempted to switch sports. 16. Butterbean. Now we must speak about Butterbean once more. Yes, for the 4th time. That's how dramatic his makeover was. Fans adored him for being different. He didn't have a six-pack, yet he still controlled the ring. After his moment in the spotlight, however, things took a huge turn. Butterbean's weight grew even more, and his health began to decline. Without fight prep or regular training, he lost control of his body size. His change was the most extreme among wrestling and boxing crossovers. He changed from a big but powerful fighter into one who appears quite unhealthy. That's why his name is always mentioned. His post-career body transformation is just that shocking. 17. Michael Moorer. Michael Moorer may not be a familiar name to young fans today, but during the 90s, he was a household name. He made history as the first southpaw, left-handed boxer to hold the heavyweight title. Moorer was respected for his heavy punching power and intense fighting style. He defeated some big names, including Evander Holyfield and George Foreman, despite Foreman later knocking him out in a classic comeback victory. In his fighting days, Moorer was a muscular, square-bodied man. He wasn't flashy or boisterous like some pugilists, but his rugged build did the talking. He pushed himself in practice, remained in top physical condition, and appeared the very definition of a champion. But upon retirement, things altered. The rigorous training schedules ended, and as many retired competitors did, Moorer's body began to soften. His once toned arms and defined chest gave way to a much rounder appearance. The fighter who once looked like he could crush bricks now looked more like someone you'd see coaching from the sidelines instead of being in the ring. Although Moorer never fully crossed into WWE, his combativeness and appearance would have been ideal there. Unfortunately, with time passing and him taking time off training, his body deterioration became really apparent. 18. Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe was a fighter who was once rated as one of the greatest heavyweights of his era. Bowe beat Evander Holyfield in a famous fight and won several championship belts. He possessed a rare combination of power, speed, and size that made him a nightmare to fight. Standing at 6'5" inches and weighing approximately 235 pounds at his peak, Bowe resembled a machine. His physique was large but athletic, with powerful shoulders, agile feet, and the self-assurance of a born champion. But after retiring from boxing, Bowe's life took a few twists and turns. He went through personal struggles, including financial problems and legal troubles. And with those changes came a noticeable shift in his physique. His athletic frame slowly disappeared. He gained a lot of weight, and over the years, the difference became hard to miss. The tall, powerful man from the ring was now heavier, slower, and clearly out of shape. The interesting thing is that Bowe was once rumored to be entering the realm of professional wrestling. It even reached a point where rumors circulated that he was training for a potential WWE stint. He had the charm and size necessary, but his physical health made it difficult to envision him making it through the grueling physicality of wrestling. Unfortunately, the dream of wrestling did not materialize. 19. Shannon Briggs. If you've ever seen someone yell, "Let's go, champ!" on Twitter, you can bet it was probably Shannon Briggs. Not only is he a retired heavyweight champ, but he's also a massive internet personality. With his boisterous voice, out-of-control ego, and ridiculously huge challenges, Briggs turned himself into a meme icon years after his professional boxing career. But in those days, Shannon Briggs was no one to mess with in the ring. He possessed unbelievable punching power and a shredded body. In the late 90s and early 2000s, he was a superhero look-alike, huge arms, huge chest, ripped abs, and crazy dreadlocks. He fought legends George Foreman, Lennox Lewis, and Sergey Liakovich, and even was the WBO heavyweight champion. But with the passing years and his move away from constant fighting, his body started to deteriorate. The hard muscles softened, and that toned body of his started losing that chiseled appearance. Sure, he still trains intermittently, particularly when taunting comebacks on social media, but his body most definitely does not resemble what it used to in his prime days. Fans who recall his best days can easily notice the difference. He's still tough, but far from as chiseled as he used to be. Although Shannon Briggs never had a full-time career in WWE, he's an ideal candidate for a fighter who could have been a good fit there. He possessed the physique, the voice, and the charisma for pro wrestling. But today, he's more famous for his internet catchphrases than for being in-ring ready. 20. Trevor Berbick. Trevor Berbick is not a name that appears as frequently today, but he has a solid place in the history of boxing. He was the final opponent of Muhammad Ali before Ali hung up his gloves for good. That alone makes him a special figure in the sport. And in 1986, Berbick again made headlines by becoming the WBC heavyweight champion after defeating Pinklon Thomas. Berbick was a powerful, muscular fighter. He was a compact powerhouse of a man who wasn't afraid to stand toe-to-toe with the best. He also fought legends such as Mike Tyson, who famously knocked him out in 2 rounds to win his first world title. But once his boxing career was over, things became darker. Berbick's life after boxing was marred by legal problems and personal troubles. He traveled extensively and didn't appear to have the same level of discipline he had when he was in his prime years. His body started to show those changes. He lost a great deal of muscle tone, and the athletic physique he once possessed diminished. It was obvious that he wasn't the same man physically or mentally that he had been when he was in the limelight. Unfortunately, Trevor Berbick's life was cut short in tragedy. In 2006, he was killed in Jamaica at the age of only 52. His death stunned the boxing community and reminded fans how difficult retirement can be for past champions, both physically and emotionally. It's amazing how quickly a boxer's body can reverse itself after he or she is out of the limelight. These were men who had once sported rock-hard bodies, blinding speed, and the kind of power most of us could only hope to possess. But after hanging up their gloves, or even after fleeting forays into WWE, many of them weren't able to maintain the hardcore training or austere diets they'd once had. Some put on weight, others lost muscle, and a few just appeared way older than we had remembered.